If you've ever thought about selling your home, you've probably wondered what fees you'll have to pay. Now this is a great question, especially if you're trying to figure out just how much money you'll walk away with after the sale. So in this video, we're going to take a closer look at the typical closing costs and fees that a seller can expect to pay if they decide to sell their home. Hi, my name is Casey and I'm a local realtor here in Corona. When we meet with someone that's interested in selling their home, one of the first things they want to know is how much it'll cost to sell their home. And I get it. This is important. As a seller, you need to know how much money you'll actually get once your home sells. And to figure this out, you have to know what your cost will be. So let's jump in and take a look at what fees you can expect to pay. Your cost can be broken down into 6 main categories. Number 1, your real estate agent's commission. One of the biggest costs you'll have when you sell your home is the agent's commission. And in most cases, the seller pays this. And the agent's commission is split between the agent that represents the buyer and the agent that represents the seller. Real estate commissions do vary, but the average rate in California is between 5 and 6% of the purchase price. But keep in mind, commissions are negotiable, so you can discuss this with your agent. Now, a lot of sellers would love to avoid paying a commission, but keep in mind, there are some key advantages to using an agent to sell your home. First, an agent is familiar with the current market and can help you establish a pricing strategy. Pricing your home wrong can cost you thousands of dollars, and it's one of the biggest mistakes we see people make. Another thing is marketing. An experienced agent will be able to extensively market your home and get it in front of potential buyers. Now, this sounds easy, but it's really hard to do if you're not familiar with the process. And if your home is marketed correctly, it will definitely sell for more money. And don't forget about the paperwork. There are a lot of complicated documents required to sell a home in California, but a good agent is familiar with all of these required forms and handles this step for you. And I tell people all the time, this paperwork is what's going to protect you and your family from liability if a problem occurs. Number 2, escrow fees. Escrow is simply a neutral third party that assists both the buyer and seller in the sale and transfer of your home. Escrow will manage the transaction, including holding the buyer's funds, signing and recording documents, requesting a title search, prorating taxes, interest, and insurance. Escrow is responsible for making sure the buyer doesn't receive the home and the seller doesn't receive the money until everything is being completed as specified in the purchase contract. And in California, escrow fees are typically split 50-50 between the buyer and the seller, with each side paying their own fees. And the average escrow fee for a seller in California averages between $200 and $300 plus $2.50 for every $1,000 of the purchase price. Now this sounds a little complicated, but here's an example. If you were selling a home for $700,000, your escrow fee would be approximately $2,000. Number 3, title insurance. When you sell your home, you do have to provide a title insurance policy. This insurance protects the buyer if there's an issue with your home's title. And this would apply if someone else tries to claim ownership of the property, either because of a dispute or because a lien was placed on the home from a contractor, a creditor, or even a governmental agency. The cost of a title policy in California is approximately 0.3% of the purchase price of the home. So if we're using the same example of selling a $700,000 home, a typical title insurance policy would cost about $2,100. And it's important to note there's a second form of title insurance called a lender's title policy. This policy protects the mortgage company that issues the buyer's loan, but a lender's policy is almost always paid for by the buyer. Number 4, property taxes. When you sell your home, you still have to pay the property taxes for the time that you own the home. And this applies right up to the actual closing date. So your escrow officer will prorate your property taxes and provide you with an estimate of any amount due. And if you've already paid your taxes for the year, you'll actually receive a credit once escrow closes. Number 5, county transfer fee. You do have to pay a fee to transfer the title of your home to the new owner. And this fee is approximately 0.11% of your home sale price. So again, for a $700,000 home, the transfer fee would be approximately $770. And in addition to the county transfer fee, some cities do charge their own fees. Once you open escrow, the escrow officer will verify if your city charges a transfer fee, and they'll let you know how much it will be. And number 6, miscellaneous fees. As a seller, there are a few additional fees you'll need to pay. Every escrow company and title company have their own policies and fees, but you can expect to pay a recording fee. Now, this is a fee for legally recording the property's deed with the county. You might also see fees for notarizing documents, sending wire transfers, or preparing documents. And there might be a demand fee too. This is simply a fee that your mortgage company charges you when you request a payoff amount. These are all common items for a seller to pay. And these fees can vary, but we typically see these miscellaneous fees adding up to between $300 and $500. And there's one more fee that I'd like to mention. If you live in a community that's subject to a homeowners association, you'll likely have to pay an HOA transfer fee for the association to transfer the home into the new buyer's name. And just like with your property taxes, you are responsible for paying your HOA fees up to the actual closing date. And in addition, the seller must provide a copy of the HOA rules and regulations to the new buyer. Now, some HOAs charge a reasonable amount for these documents, usually between $300 to $400, but I've seen some HOAs charge up to $1,200 for the HOA documents. Now, as a real estate agent, I do have access to a software program that gives us a very realistic estimate of your actual closing cost. We also work with an amazing escrow company that's willing to put together an estimate of their fees as well. This really helps us give our clients accurate numbers, and they can feel confident with the numbers we provide. I hope this video has helped you better understand the cost involved with selling a home here in California. And if it did, I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit the like and subscribe buttons below. If you'd like to see our top recommendations for getting your home ready to sell, be sure to watch our next video.